Hello everybody, I'm Thrash Maniac HD, and as you guys must have heard in my last video, I said I was going to start doing album reviews, and and here it is, my first album review I've done on my channels. I mean, I've done one for a group channel called The Kings of Kings, which I need to make a video on there soon anyways, But yeah, this is going to be my first album review I'm doing on one of my main channels. And the album I decided to review is a recent one that came out 2 months ago. The new Avenged Sevenfold album, Hail to the King. Now, before I get into it, I just wanted to say that Hail to the King as a whole is a really damn good album, despite some critical people out there say that, oh, this album rips off so many people, and I'm like, no. I mean, it sounds similar, but it's not a rip-off. It's just similar sounding. Because if you gotta understand, people, Avenged Sevenfold's primarily influenced by bands like Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Megadeth, Pantera, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath. You know, those were the main influences of Avenged Sevenfold's career. Now, we're going to get into the actual album, starting off with the first song on the album, Shepherd of Fire. This is a fantastic song, and it's got kind of that feel of a really good charging opening song, kind of like an Enter Sandman from Metallica's Black Album. And it kind of has that similarity to that as far as like a like bombastic opener, in my opinion, you could say. But Shepherd of Fire is a really damn good song. I love this song. And it's really cool that they put this song on the last DLC map for Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which is called Apocalypse. But yeah. Now we get to the second song, and it was actually the lead single to the album, Hail to the King. While it was pretty much a simple song, and it's just like this soloing kind of stuff going on by Sin Gates, it's a good song. I thought it was a good song to start off the trend for the band, I guess you could say. So with Hail to the King, the song, it was a good song, and it's very catchy too. And they used that song for the 30 Years of WrestleMania trailer for WWE 2K14, which I hope to God this song is actually in the game. That would be pretty sweet. And now we get to a song called Doing Time, which this is one of the weaker songs on the album, I have to say. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of the song, but it's alright. It kind of had that Guns N' Roses kind of feel, and M Shadows tried to attempt doing Scott Weiland singing, which, if they wanted to, they could have had Scott Weiland come in to sing this particular song with them, and would have been much better than I initially thought. And it also kind of sounds a little bit like the song Hell Yeah by Red Theory almost. But even though this is probably the weakest song on the album, it's not that bad. Now we get to my personal favorite song of the album, This Means War. Despite so many people saying this is a ripoff of Sad But True by Metallica, I mean, it's in that same tuning, that D tuning on the guitar, and its rhythms is similar. It's not a ripoff, it's just similar sounding. This is a very catchy song for me, and this is a great song in my personal opinion. I just can't stop listening to this song. In fact, I'm in another call company called COH, Call of Honor, and that's actually my theme song for for my guy in COH, which is pretty sweet. But yeah, This Means War is my personal favorite song from the album. Despite so many people out there saying, oh, they ripped off Sad But True. It just sounds similar. It doesn't mean, just because something sounds similar to something else, doesn't mean it's a ripoff. Just pointing that out. Now we get to the next song, Requiem. Now, this was a good song. But Requiem was a pretty good song. It kind of had that kind of almost dark atmosphere to it almost. Now we get to Crimson Day, which is the power ballad of the album, and it's kind of like their ode of Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. This song kind of has a little bit of a similarity to their song So Far Away from Nightmare. And this was a pretty good ballad song, I have to say. Now we get into the song Heretic. Now, there's another song that gets some criticism from people for some odd reason. Some people say it's like a combination ripoff of Symphony of Destruction by Megadeth and Hangar 18 by Megadeth. When really, the only thing that's similar about it is the tuning on from like Hangar 18 for the most part, except for the end. Really, I don't hear much of a similarity in between those songs, really. I don't know if it's just me being a big fan of the band or just not wanting to listen to that kind of little accusation, I guess. I don't know. But I liked the song Heretic. I thought it was a really good song. And they even stated in their interview, like, even though this album is totally different from Nightmare, and this was the start of Avenged Sevenfold's transition into being more of a traditional heavy metal band. And because their albums prior had a lot of speed to them, this album had mostly slow-paced songs, or mid-paced, because they said they wanted to make it seem like it was like a Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin-esque feel. And they stated that this song was like the bridge between... I'm sorry, that was my brother, but they stated that this song was like the bridge between Nightmare to Hail to the King as far as keeping both albums kind of in the same style almost. Heretic had that kind of sound from Nightmare almost, and I really like it. Now we get to the song Coming Home, which, in my opinion, it's the second weakest song on the album, but it's still a good song nonetheless. And then I heard from Cover Killer Nation say that the beginning kind of has similarity sound to The Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden, which I can kind of hear a similarity to that. I can hear a similarity to that. But this is still a good song. I mean, even though it's the second weakest song on the album, it's still good. Now we get to the song Planets. Now, this is another one of the strong points of the album. Planets freaking rips. It's a great song, and it has a little bit of an orchestra and in some parts of the song which fit the song really well. And at first, some people were thinking like, well, because the song is called Planets and people think, oh, Avenged Sevenfold rips off so many bands, it's like people immediately thought that they're making the song Planets based off of the Death song Vacant Planets, when really this doesn't touch Death whatsoever. This was a very damn good song. It's a great song, actually. Planets was a killer song, and now we get to the final song, Acid Rain, which kind of had a little bit of an ode to... It was kind of like the band's like thank you song to Mike Portnoy when he contributed to the drum playing on Nightmare. They kind of made this kind of like a proggy 90s Dream Theater-esque kind of song. And this was another really damn good song as well. Acid Rain was really good. And like the last 50 seconds, you heard the thunder and the rain, which was really cool. Fit the song title, Acid Rain. And then we get a bonus track called St. James, which supposedly was Sin Gates singing, which hearing him sing, it's not terrible. But he doesn't touch M. Shadows whatsoever. I mean, come on, let's be real. But overall, this album's a really good album. If I had to state the best song on the album as far as like most people's opinion, I would probably say Planets is the best song on the album. But my personal favorite is This Means War, and then Shepherd of Fire and Heretic, and so on and so forth. The weakest song on the album, in my opinion, is Doing Time, but it's not a terrible song by any stretch. But it's not the greatest either, so yeah. But still, this is a really good album. And I applaud Avenged Sevenfold for taking a step like this, going away from their roots of having some speed into their songs, and pretty much move away from kind of almost like a speed metal type of vibe mixed in with a little hardcore. They decided to move into the route of being a traditional heavy metal band. And hopefully when the next album comes out, maybe in 2-3 years or so, we'll hear some more styles like this coming soon on upcoming releases, on the upcoming release for Avenged to come. So, yeah, and that does it for this album review of Hail to the King by Avenged Sevenfold. If I had to give it a rating, I'd give it about an 8.25 out of 10. And again, that was my brother. Sorry about that. But again, I'd give this album 8.25 out of 10. Pretty good album. I would suggest giving it a shot. And yeah, I'm actually going to do another album review right after this. So be on the lookout for another album review coming after this. But anyways, peace.